today's podcast will be about how to become a shaman and spirit healer or whatever. And it's quite simple, but this is of course only my opinion. You have to find an imaginary friend that you can train. So something like, when you know what those cat viruses are that most humans have, they're like this tiny nodule in your brain. And you can kind of train your brain through various methods. Some people do it through the cat thing. So you probably know how these cat ladies have their shamanism working. And you have to train an imaginary friend so that it can do basically tricks on command. And once you get to a certain point in your training, you can start to wander into the spirit realm itself. Some people do this with a teacher. They have a teacher who teaches them things, and they also learn to externalize themselves. But this can be done without a teacher. Basically, the difference between a shaman and a spirit healer is that shamans usually have invisible companions, spirit guides, or imaginary friends that they've trained. And healers don't necessarily have them. A healer is basically required to be able to separate themselves or their own energy from the situation and become a conduit for the healing energy itself. This is mostly done by learning that your own energy, when you focus, usually makes your body cold, while healing energy while you focus usually makes your body warm. So eventually you learn to separate yourself from the healing energy and get out of the way. You can't will yourself to become a healer, because the more will you use to do something towards the patient, the colder you become. So what you need to do is to focus on removing yourself from the situation and having the patient be the person who heals themselves through you. So a healer doesn't necessarily have companion spirits, but they very often do. And a shaman doesn't necessarily heal, but they very often do. A spirit healer, for example, will be very hard pressed to curse someone, while a shaman will be very easily pressed to curse someone. So the difference isn't that big, but it exists. And I personally studied healing under a Hungarian healer, and I spent about a year, 2 years in the study. Actually, I think it was closer to 3 years. And with a teacher, you kind of get a good starting on the patients and the community, but it isn't critical. And in some cases, it's actually better to study alone. So it's fairly easy to test. Just place your hand on your thigh or any other part of your body and feel that when you feel something, your hand becomes either cold or warm, and try to separate these feelings into perhaps groups that focusing on is going to make you more in that one direction or less in that one direction. Eventually you will find the healing bandwidth. At that point, you should start to study on other things to do with healing, like nutrition therapy, massages, and so on. You shouldn't remain just the conduit for them. You should have your own abilities as well. So that's basically all there is to say about becoming a healer or a shaman. It's not that difficult, and it's fairly easy. So I don't know if there's anything else to say about this. This will be my third podcast, and I hope this has helped you. Bye.